Today we have Jazz with us. Jazz is a Canada native, and he is the founder of REC Canada. He is a pro at content creation and using content creation in your business, in your real estate business, which is something we rarely talk about here. So I am super excited to have Jazz on. Jazz, thank you very much for hopping on the show.
I appreciate being here, Gabe. Thank you so much. When I saw the name of the podcast, it really excited me because what I've been able to do here in Toronto, Canada specifically, is cultivate a list of investors for the last 17 years and really had an opportunity to see people create wealth. And look, I mean, I think there's lots of ways that you can create wealth nowadays. You go the stocks route, the business route, the real estate investing route, crypto. But for me, it's always been about investing in real estate because that's been, I think, more than anything, and your viewers and listeners know this as well, that it could be a very passive way to create wealth, but at the same time be very, very lucrative if you hold on. So anytime I get an opportunity to speak to investors on how they can grow up that portfolio, I'm super excited.
Perfect, man. Well, you came to the right place. We love investing. That's all we talk about here. And, everything else, I'm probably net negative when it comes to investing in stocks. So investing in real estate, that's what we're here for. You have a special, skill. You are really good at content creation. You do this with your agency, your real estate agency up there in Toronto. And so I really want to dive into this because that's something, it's something that not a lot of people do, but I feel like it can bring a lot of value to anybody's business in real estate. And people just don't quite understand why they should start. So kind of give me the lowdown. Why do you think content creation is so important for, somebody running an investment business?
Well, look, I think it's probably the only way in today's day and age to speak to the masses, right? I mean, how many people nowadays watch like regular cable television or listen to the radio, right? We spend hours upon hours on this device here, our phone, and then on that phone, it's 7 to 8 platforms that we're generally going on. And so if you as a business person or as an investor know that most people's awareness are on this device and you need their awareness, you need customers, you need clients, you want to maybe create joint venture partnerships, you want to build your authority and credibility as a real estate investor, why not go where everyone is? You want to meet people in person, go to an investing club, go to a networking event. That makes sense. And that's really easy for people to understand. When it comes to the digital landscape now in 2022, you got to be able to produce some type of content, either through video, audio, the written word, images, because those are all the ways that we as humans consume content, right? I don't think I missed anything. We like to either watch videos, we like to hear stuff in our ears, i.e. podcasting, or definitely the art of long form writing, blogs and books has not been lost. I mean, yes, there might not be physical bookstores as many as we had, but there are where you're based out of, there's somebody who's making billions upon billions of dollars online through Amazon still selling books, right? And so that hasn't been lost. And then platforms like Instagram obviously have moved a little bit more towards video now, but started off as photo platforms and a photo app, right? And so that's the other way that we consume content. So if you are someone that needs another person's awareness, you need eyeballs on you, you got to produce some type of content. I'm a big proponent of starting with video, and that's something that we can definitely talk about. But I also understand that some people they're not as good looking as Gabe, and so they might not be comfortable to get on camera. They might not have a nice voice like Jazz that is sexy and sultry, and so you might not want to do a podcast, right? I get that. I get all that, but you have to pick one of those other two, right? Written word, images. You got to do something because it's going to be by far the fastest way and the most effective way for you to create relationships. That's what it's all about, right? Like, you want to create relationships with people so at least they can get a taste of you. Like, I like to think of my videos, like especially my 1 minute videos, 37-second videos on TikTok, as kind of the appetizer. They get a chance, like, okay, I like Jazz. He's too crazy for me. He brings too much energy. He's always waving his hands and stuff like that. I don't want to do business with him. So that's okay as well. They get to make that decision before they come physically meet me in person. They get that taste of me. If they like me, now they can do one of two things. They can go into my longer form, 2-hour pieces of content on YouTube. And or what I'm really hoping for is that they pick up the phone, they send me a message and say, Jazz, let's hook up one-on-one. I kind of like what you had to say on that video, and let's meet one-on-one to maybe possibly further this relationship.
Perfect, man. I love it. And when you're going through that, the thing that kind of popped into my mind is most investors, I think they get hung up on why they should even create content. Like, why do they need attention? And I feel like this is something that at least for me, when I started creating this podcast, it kind of came out of the woodwork. I didn't really expect it, but you nailed it just earlier. You mentioned relationships, and that's really what investing comes down to, is building relationships. Networking is the old term, but I just like to think of it as building relationships. The more relationships you have, the more opportunities you get, the more deals come your way, the more capital partners you get. And that
you got to build that credibility. Not to cut you off, right, Gabe? Like, I mean, if I start to listen to your podcast more, watch some of your videos more, I'm going to start to realize that, okay, this guy really knows what he's talking about. When you put out an opportunity where you're trying to raise capital, you got a much better shot at getting my attention, possibly my dollars, what you're looking for, than someone like, say, Steven, who's not producing any content, but yet then he comes out with a video saying, guys, I want to raise capital. Like, there was no education given, there was no relationship built. It's kind of like him going to the bar and slipping his hotel key to the girl and saying, let's go upstairs, without even trying to whining and dining. Like, he knows better than that in real life, you know what I mean? But yet in the digital world, we think of ourselves to try to close someone right away rather than educating, right? Like, I mean, you try to, I'll flip the script on you for a second, because I'm also a podcast host, but how many more opportunities have been brought to your table now because of the fact that you bring someone like, maybe not me, but your other investors, and maybe you bring an economist or a real estate lawyer, and you're educating people. You're looking like you're the authority because you're the coolest kid in high school was the one who threw the house parties, right? Like, doesn't matter what they had or what they didn't have.
Throwing the digital house parties over here.
Exactly, right? You're throwing the digital house party, right? But to kind of come back full circle, like, how many opportunities have been brought to your table since you started this podcast, man?
Yeah, and for me, it's mostly been on the capital. I've actually had a few deals come my way, but mostly it's been on the capital side. People just reaching out, wanting to put money into my projects, and that is especially for commercial investors. That is really what you want. That's where it comes from. So, and that really comes down to authority. It's funny that you mentioned that. You were talking about authority earlier. How having a podcast, having some type of content, it gives you a piece of legitimacy, a level of legitimacy. And I've noticed in my own business, I'll email someone from my acquisitions email, and it's just like, my acquisitions email. There's not a lot of authority there except for our website. But when I email from the podcast email, I get a lot quicker responses, because people just see this guy has a podcast, he's talking with other people. And so that kind of type of content, I feel, kind of goes back to that relationship thing. People see your authority, and they see that you're out there making moves.
And to give something like ultra tactical for an investor listening right now, what I would advise is that understand first and foremost that at some point in your investing journey is going to come a point where financing is going to be tough. Meaning you might even have the down payment, but you can't get the financing from the bank, or you don't even have the down payment, and so you need to raise capital. In my opinion, this is what I would do if you're an investor who is getting started out in investing into real estate, or maybe you have 612 doors. Is either way, document the journey that you're in right now. It doesn't matter where you are at the process. If you're starting out, somebody might be listening saying, I'm just starting out. What the heck do I know? I actually think you probably have a leg up in content creation, because what you can do is document you learning about investing in real estate and letting others be a fly on the wall. You'll be surprised what happens after 6, 9, 12 months of doing it. And if you have 612 doors, no problem. Bring people on that you have done deals with, or just other people in your network that are investing in real estate. Because what's going to happen is that when you want to start to raise capital, you're going to be able to put people together really, really quickly. And sometimes it's not going to be for a deal that you have, but it might be that you want to put Steven together with Laura and put a deal together there. You bring value to someone else's life. You will get that back in spades, but it starts with the education process, not the closing and selling process. That's where most people get it wrong. Business people, real estate agents, mortgage loan officers, real estate investors, they always make it about themselves. And I think the secret sauce that I found now doing this for coming up to about 3.5 years is, man, like, I don't even say the call me now and DM me. I don't do any of that, because I come to the place of, let me just give away all the education. Let people make an informed quality decision themselves, but give them education, because nobody wants to be sold to. We all walk into a store buying buy $150 pair of shoes, and the shoe salesman asks, how can I help you? Or can I help you? We're trained to say no right away. Why? Because we're scared of salespeople. We're scared to be sold. So if you just
get off
start
my back, man.
exactly, man. Like, can you just let me look at some shoes and I'll get, like, that happens all the time, right? Like, and so if you can just come at it with a place of education, I think you're going to be ultra surprised on how much business will come your way.
Perfect, man. Educate first. I love that. So one question that I have for you, and this is something that I've struggled with in my own, media thing. I can easily get overwhelmed with social media. I'm not actually very good at it, which is why I like this podcast thing, because it's just one person. I'm talking to them. So when someone wants to get started, creating content, how do you go about deciding what to do? Because I've tried TikTok. I've created stuff on TikTok and on Instagram, and honestly, it's just like it's just too much time. And I've kind of focused in on the podcast, but not a lot of people like to do podcasts. So how would someone go about deciding which form of content to create?
Well, I think you started off the right way, first and foremost. And so I do think people should start off with the podcast, because like yourself, I know how much time it takes. And I don't have a lot of time outside of, like, my full-time gig is being a real estate broker here in Toronto. I have a team of 54 agents, not to impress people, but really impress upon people, like,
we got other things to do. I understand.
I got a lot of stuff to do, right? I got a lot of stuff to do. We help a little over 700 families a year. And we've been doing that for the last, I'm going to say on average, for the last about 7-8 years. But been in the business for 17. But I out of those 700 do personally myself 200 deals. I'm on the phone on a regular basis. However, I knew the importance of content creation, because I wanted to be not only a step ahead, but I wanted to make everything a little easier. I didn't want to just be outbound all the time. I wanted to have some type of authority. I wanted to build a brand where people were able to watch me in their pajamas at 3:00 in the morning and then come to me. So I had to figure out a way. How do I do this? And there being those 7-8 platforms that we spoke about, I wanted to be on all of them. I also wanted to make sure that I hit all those mediums: video, audio, the written word, and images. Okay. And so I'm at a place right now where I do anywhere from about 10 to 12 pieces of content a day. Okay. Yeah, man, like, I'm like, right.
I'm exhausted just thinking about that.
I know people probably think I don't sleep or anything. No, man, I love to sleep. I get my 6-7 hours a day. And so I make sure that I found a hack to do that. This is why I think what you did and how you started is the right way. As long as you record this on video, which I see that we are recording it on video, what I would do is this: you take your 20-minute podcast on video. Okay. You're already taking the audio out and putting it out on to the iTunes and Spotify's of the world. Okay. Put the whole 20-minute video onto YouTube. And then I think I'm hoping that I've dropped one or two gems. Maybe I'll drop a few more. You have also mentioned, like, you know, a story here as well about yourself. So pull out those video clips, a minute, 2 minutes. It could even be 2 minutes each. Take 3-4 of those out of this 20-minute conversation. Okay, put those on YouTube as well. Then shrink those videos, those clips down to a minute or less. And the reason is because then you can use those on TikTok, you can use those on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. That audio that you put into your distribution service to get on iTunes and Spotify and all the podcast platforms, I want you to throw that into a software known as Trint, Trint. It's very, very cost effective. It will spit out the full transcription of every single word that was said. Now, it's also going to pick up on the ums and the ahs, delete those ums and ahs, throw the whole write-up now on your website, email portion, like paragraphs, or the full write-up into throw it into an email to your full client list. I want you to take captions. I apologize. I want you to take paragraphs, throw those on Facebook and LinkedIn. Take 140 characters, throw that out on Twitter as a tweet, screenshot that tweet, throw that back onto Instagram. You just got yourself 12, 13 maybe pieces of content from one 20-minute conversation. And I got some great news for you. If you bring on a 17-year-old kid from a design school and or someone who just like plays on their Apple computer, you can have all of that done within about 2 hours. So let's just say you did this once a week. You do this once a week, that's 4 times a month, times the 10 pieces of content. You just got yourself 40 pieces of content a month. That's more than once a day.
Perfect, man.
So that's so like the only mind energy that you really need to take on is getting 4 guests a month.
Yep.
And I don't care what business you're in, this will give you massive returns, guys. I've been a sales guy my whole life, selling shoes, newspapers, shoes, the bank, cars, and real estate. And I've been doing every single one of those since I was 12 years old, did it at a very high level. And it wasn't 6-month stints. They're all minimum 3 months. As I mentioned, real estate, 17 years. And I say all that because I really want to articulate the fact that I've always had to work uphill to get business and get clients, meaning spending 30 minutes in a 45-minute, hour and a half meeting, just trying to build up my credibility. And nothing has come close to content creation and getting business in the last 3.5 years. I went from probably doing 75 to 80 deals a year as a real estate broker to the 200 that I do. And I do that never leaving my office. I don't own a computer. I do everything in a t-shirt and hoodie. And I say that because I want people to understand that you can actually 2 things. 1, be who you are and attract the tribe that you want to attract. Because see, when people see my video, if they think I'm full of you know what, they're never going to come see me. But at least they got that taste now, rather than coming all the way down to my office, we doing a big song and dance for each other, and then they decide not to work with me. The people that come into my office now, at least I know I got a little bit of leverage. And I don't mean that from a negative perspective. I mean that from like understanding that, wow, okay, they had to have seen a video of mine. Somewhere, somehow they saw a video or listened to a podcast, and yet they still wanted to come.
Yeah.
Right. So as long as I don't screw it up,
It's
chances of us doing right.
It's a warm interaction, right?
Exactly. Right. And so that's number 1. Number 2, you can design your business around your life. You do not have to design your life around your business. And I don't care what business you're in. If you decide that you want to be out and about every single day, meeting people and cold calling and door knocking and wholesaling, whatever it is, that's great. I'm not here to tell you that doesn't work or you shouldn't do that. But this is coming from a person that made a conscious decision and said, okay, like I really want 95% of my business to come from either people that know me, like me, and trust me because they've done business, or they know me and like me. They don't probably trust me yet if they just watched a video, but they had to have seen something of mine.
They
And I'm going
know
to do
who
that
I
all in it.
am. They have
You
an
know what I'm
idea
saying?
of what I'm about.
Exactly. Like anybody who's seen any of my videos, Gabe, they know that this guy helps people invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, but he does it in a t-shirt and a hoodie. And why is that important to know? Because there's so many people who be like, get the hell out of here. I'm working with somebody who's, telling people to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars and create a massive portfolio, but yet he does it in his hoodie. And he has this, this odd little accent at times, and he has a stutter, and, all like, great. Like, you make that decision up front. And so from an investor's perspective, you are going to be able to grow a community of other like-minded investors, because somewhere in your content, you're probably going to say that you're a buy and hold investor, if that's who you are. And that might shy away Tyler, because Tyler's a flipper. He hates buy and hold investors. Great. That you don't need to speak to Tyler, and then you might Luke might listen to or watch one of your videos and say, man, I hate flipping. And I'm so glad that Gabe, or the investor who's producing content, is a buy and hold, because that's all about me. That's how I want to grow my portfolio. So then you have him picking up the phone.
Yep, man, I love it. I've been taking notes. I like that you really do suggest podcasts it's the medium that you suggest, and then take that podcast.
As long as you record the video, Gabe, as long
Yep.
as you record the video, man. And I think the best thing that you can do, possibly more of, if you're not doing it, but definitely everybody who's listening who hasn't got started, just bring on people who are doing it. I've had 188 episodes I've done of my own podcast. I've had some of the biggest names in business: Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Patrick Bet-David, Bob Proctor. The list goes on and on. I'm not trying to drop names. I really want to tell you why I'm saying it, is because my most watched, listened to, and engaged episodes are with a lady named Sue Murphy, who's a lady here who owns a couple of grocery stores, but bought 11 properties in 2.5 years, but just a regular person. It's hard for Larry, the listener, to relate to Gary Vee, who owns a $500 million company, right? But it's a lot easier for Larry to resonate with Corey and Matt, who bought 2 properties in the last 3 years, right? Like that. Like, so why am I saying that? You don't need to be Joe Rogan. We're not trying to be the best podcasters in the world here. Like, we're just trying to create a community of people that will hopefully one day want to do business with you.
Perfect, man. And I will leave it on that, because that is, you're preaching to the choir here. I love that. I love that message. If y'all are sleeping on it, get on the content creation. I love podcasting, and if you do an interview format, the first few guests, that's the hard part. Once you get those first few guests done, you have your podcast up, I'm telling you, people start coming to you. It's a lot easier. And at this point, I'm just sitting down having a conversation with Jazz here on a Friday morning, and that's all I do for my podcast. So content creation.
I was really going to really quickly say, Gabe, like, think about it, man. For anybody who's thinking, oh my God, it takes so much to do a podcast, like, let's call a spade, right? The host, and I'm a host. It's one of the easiest jobs in the world once you do it 2-3 times, because you're generally asking the same 4 to 6 questions every single time, and the heavy lifting is done from the guest. I'm the one who had to kind of carry the conversation today, and because I get that, right? And so if you're scared, listen to, I don't know, 10 podcasts, different podcast hosts, and just pick up on the 4 or 5 questions that make you comfortable. Run with those. After you've done 20, change it up. Like, it's the work really is just actually getting the guest, and you're not trying to get Oprah as a guest right away. You can have her, but not right yet. Like right now, that might not happen. Just get a home inspector and talk about the importance of why an investor needs to get a home inspection. Like, it's not rocket science. And if you do it once a week, we're only talking about 52 guests. I got some great news for everybody. There's 8 billion people on this planet. You'll get to the 52 people.
I love that. And with that, I'm actually going to stick to our format and push us into the quick question round, because we have passed the 15-minute mark. So Jazz, are you ready?
I'm ready, buddy.
Perfect. I love it. I didn't prep you on that one. Usually I tell the guests, like, hey, this is what it's about, but you nailed it, and we're getting into it. It starts with, Education. So I'm a big bookie, but you don't have to give me a book. You can, if you like podcasts, you can do that. If you like YouTube channels, whatever, give me 2 recommendations, one for general life wisdom and one for real estate specific.
General life wisdom, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from the late, great Dr. Stephen Covey. Real estate investing, the Real Estate Investing Club by Gabe.
Perfect, man. I love it. And I like the first one. That was actually, not a lot of people say 7 Habits. That was the first like self-development book that I picked up. And man, I loved that book. It was a good one.
Favorite book of all time. It doesn't even come close.
Moving on. The next one is for your younger self. So if you could go back to the Jazz who had no experience in real estate, no experience in sales, go ahead, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Think bigger. I wish I pushed myself to think bigger and know that at the end of the day, the worst that's going to happen, whatever I was hoping to happen, just didn't happen at that time. I've come to realize if you put your thoughts, feelings, and energy into something, you'll always bring it about. It's just a matter of that it might not happen at the exact timeline that you wanted it to, because God, universe, whatever you want to call it, has a different plan. But you just got to you if you're gonna go out and make money, go make bags of it. So why not think big? Think big. I wish I'd thought bigger when I was younger.
Perfect, man. I love that, and I'll stand behind that one as well. And that moves us to the next question. And this one is opportunity for you to brag a little bit. We are all gifted with strengths, and you are not an exception. We all come here and we have something that we can give the world. So what is one thing that you are exceptional at? What is your Superman strength?
I think I'm just like ultra super good looking.
There you go. And that
listeners are going to be able to see that. No, all kidding aside. I think it's my passion to watch like the closest people around me grow. And I've been blessed to be born in a household. My parents are still alive. My 2 older brothers, that core group of 5 people in that household really made me who I am. They filled up my cup at a very, 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 very young age and never stopped filling up that cup. I got told I love you 1,000 times a day. I still get it told by those same people, and I think I was really put here because some of the closest people around me weren't given that, and so it's my time to fill their cups up.
Perfect, man. I love hearing that. That leaves us to the second to last quick question, and this one is the United States. Actually, you're in Canada, so we're just going to open it up to the world. There's a lot of square miles out there to invest in, which means there's a lot of opportunity. What area in the world are you most excited in putting your hard-earned dollars?
I'm biased, right? I'm born and raised in Toronto. Toronto, Canada, for people that might not know, is number 2 in the world with the amount of cranes that are being put up in the sky.
No
okay?
shit, I did not know that.
Number 2, I think it's Singapore or Shanghai. I could be wrong, like the latest stat. However, what excites me more about Toronto is the fact that to our country in Canada, we're expecting 3.5 million people to come to Canada in the next 10 years. And history has shown us for the last 50 years that 50% of the people that come into our country come into our city. So wow. That means we're going to have a little over 1.5 million people here in the next 10 years. We're built on we're built on an island, almost like Manhattan, a real estate island, because the south of us we have a lake. I haven't figured out what Dubai has to be able to build on water. On the northern part of our city, we have restricted land. So we can't build outwards, we can only build upwards. So we have a massive housing shortage. It's basic supply and demand, massive demand, very, very little supply. There's a lot of red tape in not only our country, but specifically in our city. Takes 10 years for a building application to something to be built. For a building to be erected, right? And so I'm talking about 10 years. So that's a long time. So, I mean, for investors, it's really actually heaven. I know people are like, it's not affordable. And however, I like the fact that because I'm a buy and hold guy, long-term equity, I'm not a flipper. I'm not looking for, like, I don't need $2,000-3,000 a month to come out of a property. I got a day job that I'm in love with, and so for me, I like to build equity, and I know I have a steady flow of tenants. So Toronto, Canada, for me, is the city to invest into.
Damn, man, sold. I had no idea Toronto was killing it so much. That's good to hear. All right, and that leads us to the very last question, which is for the listeners. You've given us a lot of good advice on content creation and building your business, especially when it comes to getting your name out there, building authority. So I'm sure people want to reach out and say hi. What is the best way for them to do that?
I think, you know what, just Google me. Google my first name, last name. It's pronounced like the music, but spelt differently. It's Jas, last name Takhar, Takhar. Google me. You'll have the ability to consume my content in any one of those four mediums that I just spent 20 minutes talking about: video, audio, written word, and images. Figure out what you might like if you like it. And definitely, if you do, make sure to say hi, and let me know that you listen to me on the Real Estate Investing Club.
Perfect. I love it. So that's Jas Takhar, Jastakhar. Google that. Pretty unique. So I'm sure you dominate that search word in Google. And that's it. So Jas, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, buddy. I had a blast.
Absolutely. And for everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.